French film critic André Bazin used the term presence to describe the moviegoer's sense that they are within the same spatial or temporal continuum as the picture on the screen. And by God, is director Alfonso Cuarón a master of presence. Through intricate sound design and crafty camera techniques, Alfonso makes the viewer assume the position of Ryan Stone, the main character of the movie. At the core of Gravity is this rise and release of tension. It's suspenseful, and without it, a lot of the charm of the movie would be lost. Alfonso accomplishes this by placing you in the shoes of Dr. Stone through a multitude of techniques. By doing so, it helps build a bridge between the viewer and Dr. Stone. It makes it easier to relate and empathize with what she's going through. And I don't know if it's the energy drink I had before watching this movie, but I can tell you that my heart was beating as if it were my life on the line.
You gotta admit one thing. Can't beat the view. So what do you like about being up here?
The silence. I could get used to it.
Sound design is a vital aspect of the film, but the use of sound in Gravity extends beyond that. The idea of silence is a theme throughout the film. It represents a search for peace and tranquility, a search likely caused from the passing of her daughter. But as tragedy in space encroaches closer and closer, and more of her crew members pass away, she finds herself desperate for anyone's voice to cut the silence.
Please talk to me. Please.
What she once sought out
Houston, can you please turn that music off?
is now what she seeks to avoid. I see the search for silence as the sadness and solemnness that comes with loss, but the attempt to connect with anyone as a recognition of holding on to and appreciating what we have yet to lose. Loss is something we'll unfortunately all deal with. It's heavy, it's real, and it's relatable. You don't just feel for her, you feel with her. And this theme is another step forward in bridging that gap between the viewer and Ryan, sucking you in. Mix this with the sound design, and you get an immersive experience that not many films achieve. One of the best examples of how sound design immerses you in Gravity is the use of stereoscopic sound. While hard to hear on a regular set of speakers, if you're watching in a movie theater or with headphones on, you'll notice that the voices of each actor pans relative to their location in 3D space.
Need some help there, man? No, don't wait for us.
Not only does this give the viewer an idea of someone's location, but it gives an incredible sense of immersion, and it also allows for this sense of being disoriented when a character is flying out of control. On top of this, the whole team behind Gravity does an incredible job at truly making it sound like you're in space. Let's hear from the man himself about the sound design in this movie.
The sound in the storytelling of Gravity is very important. There's no sound in space. So you're in the vacuum, sound cannot be transmitted to the atmosphere. Nevertheless, sound is transmitted through interaction of elements, meaning that if our characters grab, touch stuff, the vibration of that will travel into their ears. And so they will get a muffled representation of that sound.
The perfect example of this is this scene.
How you feeling?
Like a chihuahua that's being tumble dried?
I know it's been a rough week. If it makes you feel any better, I coughed up everything but my kidneys on my first ride.
Shit.
We hear Kowalski and Ryan speaking over the intercom, and the drill and drill bit are dampened to mimic how they would sound in space. Sound design's also used to help us take a step into Dr. Stone's shoes. Take this scene for example, where the audio cuts out, we're only left with a tinnitus-esque ringing. The sound immerses us in Ryan's experience, pulling us just a little bit closer. Let's start by taking a look at how Alfonso frames his shots. In this scene, we see Dr. Stone floating in space, drifting away from her crew. This wide framing of Dr. Stone serves the viewer in a couple of ways. It gives a proportionality of her versus the vastness of space, and communicates a feeling of helplessness. Not only does it give you an idea of the distance that she's traveled, but it makes you think, how the hell is she gonna get out of this one? As she flies past us, the camera follows, panning in closer and closer. Despite how wide of a shot it starts out as, it begins to feel claustrophobic. It relays the dread of anxiety that Dr. Stone is feeling, which is backed up by the fogging in her helmet from her heavy breathing. By now, her face is almost fully encapsulated in the shot, forcing the viewer to focus on her expressions. Then, the camera moves through her helmet seamlessly. This gives us Dr. Stone's direct perspective, quite literally placing us in her shoes. We're no longer watching Dr. Stone, we are Dr. Stone. And now, all the anxious buildup is pushed onto us, forcing us to think about how horrifying these circumstances truly are. This is just one example of how forced perspective taking immerses us through a sympathetic response, a way that Alfonso Cuarón allows the elements of the film to tell the story for him. This first-person view is used a decent amount throughout the film, which is rare to see, but even more rare to see done well. But it's a major contributing factor in making this movie as immersive as it is. With the combination of these creative shots, intentional framing, and the sound design that reflects Dr. Stone's experience, you're left with a movie that feels like your own 90-minute hectic trip through space. It is a masterclass in sound design and a testament to just how much can be communicated in film outside of the dialogue. It's a great movie with a lot to learn from, and if you haven't already, I recommend you check it out.